So how many of you are expected this morning? How many of you are here to hear from God? How many of you are trusting God that your family will be different, that your streets will be different, that our nation will be different? How many of you are believing God this morning? Don't come for anything else. Come trusting God. So this morning, we're going to do something Natalie and I have never done in our lives. We've never tag teamed. We've never preached together. Because she's a better preacher than me, and the last thing I need is comparison. So I'm going to let her lay the ground so that you get the good parts, and I will just come and just bring dessert. Is that all right? So let me honor her, because she's a superstar, powerful preacher. Love her, serves God. You have a go. I'll just sit at the back and harmonize with the keyboard. Watch this.
Morning, everyone. You may be seated. We've just come out of the most incredible weekend. We have had revelation built on revelation. And I said to somebody else yesterday, there is actually nothing left to preach. Mark basically preached our message in the offering message. But I do want to let you know something, that for me, what I was hearing session after session, and what we need to take note of, is that there's a warning element to what God has been saying to us over this weekend. The revelation that He's been laying for us is time sensitive. There is an element to it that says we need to hear and obey, and we need to do that quickly. We need to get it on the inside and start to live it, because we are living in a world that is heading in one direction. And if we don't get what is being laid in the foundations today, we are going to be swept up with society and culture, and we are not going to be able to shine the light of Jesus that is so desperately needed in our lives, in the lives of those around us at the moment. We need to respond, and we need to do that as quick as we can. Mmusi and I are going to speak on what it looks like when we operate in the world from a point of knowing God, a divine connection with the divine Father. What does that look like? And I'm going to start to lay the foundation of what that looks like in our families and on a personal level. And Mmusi is going to hit it out of the park, and he's going to take it to the nation. So let's turn to 2 Kings, chapter 4, verse 1 to 7. And I'm going to show you 2 prophets here. These are stories that we know. But just a little bit of background. At the time, what we're seeing in the world outside of what is happening in the scenario is a time of famine and drought in the land. This is a time where kingdoms are going up against kingdoms. This is not a peace time. This is not a relaxed, everybody's got what they need time. This is crisis time. And we see the story pick up with a wife of a man. She's a widow. She comes to Elisha. Now, one of the wives of a man of the sons of the prophets cried out to Elijah for help, saying, "Your servant, my husband, is dead." And this is how I read it, okay? Your servant, my husband, is dead. And you know that your servant fervently feared the Lord, but the creditor is coming to take my 2 sons to be slaves in payment for a loan. Elisha said to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have of value in the house?" She said, "Your maidservant has nothing in the house except for a small jar of olive oil." And then he said, "Go, borrow containers from all of your neighbors, empty containers, and not just a few. Then you shall go in and shut the door behind you and your sons and pour out the oil that you have into these containers. And you shall set aside each one when it is full. So she left him and shut the door behind her and her sons. They were bringing her containers as she poured the oil. When the containers were all full, she said to her son, "Bring me another container." And he said to her, "There is not a one left." Then the oil stopped multiplying. And she came and told the man of God. And he said, "Go, sell the oil and pay your debt, and you and your sons can live on the rest." Now, Mmusi pointed out to our family the other day, here was this widow. Her husband had served as a prophet in the company of Elisha. So back in those times, you would have a company of prophets, sometimes hundreds of prophets who would band together to hear the word of the Lord for a nation. And here is a man who is part of that company of prophets. He stands next to Elisha, another prophet. And Mmusi pointed out, he was a man in ministry, a man who fervently feared the Lord. He heard from God. He was a prophet. People would come to him to hear the word of the Lord. But he left his wife and his 2 sons in debt when he died. He left them with nothing. She didn't even have something of value in her house that she could sell. And she was going to have to give her sons to a debt collector. When we talk about legacy, when we talk about inheritance, she had nothing. She was going to have to sell the seed of her womb. Now, as a woman in those times, no husband, no sons, nothing. What kind of a father? What kind of a husband? He's a minister of the word of God, but he's leaving his family with nothing. And Elisha says to her, "What shall I do for you?" She's made it his problem. Your servant? He says to her, "Go."
I'm on disrupt for 30 seconds. 30 seconds. I just want to say this one thing. For every family that is here, for every man, for every woman, turn to your husband, turn to your wife. If you're here single, believe God for this, that the legacy of our family isn't going to be one that's broke.
Amen.
It's not going to be one that's broke.
Amen.
It's not going to be one that's broke.
Amen.
Declare it. Declare. Don't be fearful of money.
Amen.
Declare that for a generation after generation, they will live with the legacy. Come on.
Yes, Lord.
I'm just a side coach. You keep going.
But what Mmusi is saying is key in the story. I want you to listen. We have 2 prophets here. We have 2 men who serve God. We have 2 men who heard God. So what's the difference? I want to put this to you. Can it be that we can hear God, that we can minister, but we can do that without actually knowing God, without actually going into the secret place and knowing God? When you spend time in your quiet time, are you going in to hear God, or are you going in to know God? And I tell you there's a difference. Because when we know God, we understand a revelation of his character. We understand a revelation of his nature. Because Elisha knows God. And he says to her, "Go and get some containers." He goes, "This is not right. What can I do for you? This is not right. The God I know would never leave you or forsake you. The God I know has come that you would have life and life abundantly." You see, we've been caught up with this idea of prosperity gospel gospel. But the fact of the matter is, the gospel is for us to prosper and be in good health, even as our souls prosper. The God I know is not a God of lack. The God I know is not a God who leaves us in a desperate place. This is not a prosperity gospel. This is about the nature of God. She's got the tiniest little bit of olive oil. Outside on those trees, there ain't no olives, guys. Outside on those trees is drought and famine. And in the midst of that, he gives her olive oil. Abundance of olive oil. Enough for her house and for her to sell to the desperate people that don't have olive oil, because remember, famine, drought. He takes something, provides for a need in society, places it in her hands, brings provision to her home and to all of her neighbors, to all of her community. Suddenly, she's got olive oil. She's got a commodity that's in need. And the Lord brings her provision, provision to her home, provision to her boys, inheritance to her house. That's the God that I know. And he says to her, go and shut the door behind you and your sons and pour out the oil that you have into all these containers. And she does that. And the last thing I want to say is the Lord is going to give you strategy, wisdom. Because when we get to know him, we just by default hear him. But we've got to know him. We've got to have relationship, because I'll tell you what, you've got to go in and shut the door. You've got to go in and shut the door. Outside of that door is your circumstance. Outside of the door is the debt collector coming to get your sons. Outside of that door is famine and drought. But inside is his provision, is his character, his abundance, his blessing. But you got to shut that door, guys, because she's doing something weird in there. She's got this much oil in a container and a whole lot of empty containers. And she's got this oil, guys. She's filling it up and she's watching the tiny bit. Keep going, keep going. She's looking at her son. She's like, guys, this is something weird is happening here. She pours it into the one. She moves on to the next container and the next container and the next container. If somebody came through that door, they'd be like, what are you doing? Oh, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it to you. I just know I heard from the Lord and I have to do it. You got to shut the door, guys. You got to go and do whatever he says. The strategy he gives you is going to be unusual. And you've got to know him so well that you know that it's him. And you've got to listen and obey. You won't have the explanation for why you've got to do the oil. She's sitting with all that oil. She doesn't even know what to do with it in the end. She takes it back to Elisha. So what do I do now? Go and sell it. Come on, girl. Go hustle. In the next part of this chapter, he raises a boy to life. He goes in and shuts the door. He's lying eyeball to eyeball on that kid. It's weird in there, guys. But God has given him strategy in spite of circumstance that's going to change the trajectory of that family, that's going to change the inheritance and the legacy of that community. And he's going to do it in your family. He's going to do it in your marriage. He's going to do it for your children and for your children's children. built up inside of you. Go in and shut the door. I'm going to hand over to Mmusi.
Oh, where do we go? Like a good T20, mine is just to close out the innings. You're a superstar, man. Come on. I want to just, in the time we've got left, I'm just going to unpack it, just what happens in a country, in a nation. 1 Kings 17, you don't have to trust me, because just in the time we've got, I won't have enough time to read everything. The prophet man of God, Elijah, declares that there won't be drought until he says so. I have a problem with people who behave like this. They are ungovernable. Ungovernable. He says, until I say so, there shall be no rain. Now, guys, you and I hear that and we think, oh, spiritual rain. That sounds, of course, hallelujah. Spiritual rain. A number of years ago, I had an opportunity to fly to Zambia. And when I was in Zambia, I got to Zambia and I met a friend of mine was in prison. He was the leader of the opposition. I got arrested like right at the airport because the government said to me, you are not allowed to come into this place. And so when I got deported back to South Africa, this friend of mine, I called him up. I said, come to South Africa and I'll try and raise your plight. And so he arrived a number of years, like months later. He went back to the nation of Zambia, ran an election, and got elected as the president of Zambia. So here's the problem. When you arrive back and you've watched God do some things, you tend to believe that, okay, cool, now he's going to be chilled. It's going to be, God has answered prayer. It's going to be smooth sailing from that point on. He comes into State House, and while he's in government, he faces this problem. A drought happens over the nation of Zambia. In the first number of months, when he's president of Zambia, the economy starts to take up. The kwacha starts to strengthen as much as the rand. In fact, better than the rand. And then here's the problem. A drought hits, an economic downturn happens. So when somebody stands up in a scripture and says there will be no rain until I say so, they are saying your economy will tank, your agriculture will tank, your animals will die. I am telling you, he's not saying something all super spiritual. He's taking an economic message to a nation. So if HH, the president of Zambia, was praying, his prayer wouldn't be like, God send spiritual rain. He would be praying, God bring rain. We need rain. Now rain today, I would argue, in a nation that is growing at less than 1%. How many of you know that our prayers today must be something like, God, we don't want 1% economic growth. We don't want 2% economic growth. We want to see a nation begin to grow, because that's what you're about, right? That's the declaration. We get to 1 Kings 18. So what happens is that Ahab, who's the king, figures out, nah. This guy's a problem. He's a problem. Says, let's hunt him down. Anyone finds him, let's kill him. So they go hunting for the prophet. How many of you know you got... And then when you read in 1 Kings 18, you bump into him speaking to his servant Obadiah. Says to him, let's go find a place where there's at least some spaces where at least my mules, my animals can still survive. And so let's divide the land in such a way that you find a good space and then we can save some of what's mine. You know you've got bad leaders when their primary interest isn't to confront the problems that face the nation, but they make it personal to themselves. And that can be true anywhere. I'm not talking about government. I'm talking about even in your home. You know you've got a problem when somebody, instead of placing the interests of everybody, I have seen men or women do exactly the same thing. They go, no, it's all about me in this home. It's all about me. No. Leadership says I lay my life down for those who are around me. That's what leadership is. But here's the thing I love the most about in that is that his servant Obadiah, It says this testimony of him, that in the time when Jezebel was killing prophets, Obadiah took some and hid them. I would argue, this guy's a spy. He is working for one guy, and yet the people that he's protecting are from another camp. Not all of us get the privilege of working for Pastor DJ, who is seeking God. Some of us get to work for kings, get to work for bosses who do not believe the stuff that we believe. But we know when we show up for work, we're not there to serve them. We are here to serve a higher purpose, and whatever you need to do in your space of work, you recognize that I have a higher calling. What's your legacy at work as a Christian? When people think about you as a Christ follower, if I was writing Obadiah's CV, I would say that guy worked hard, so much so that the king would trust him with his biggest secrets, with everything. But his purpose wasn't just the king, it was to serve the King of Kings. What's your testimony? I want you to get a hunger to say, you are not going to work in holy places that are beautiful all the time. I don't go to a parliament of South Africa that I think to myself, everything here is all cool and hunky-dory. I meet people who sometimes don't believe half the stuff I believe. I meet people who are operating in a different spirit. But when I come in there, I don't think to myself, oh, well, I'm just here. I'm just thinking to myself, God, you deserve the glory. You can do it. You can change it. You messed me up, man. These ones are suspended also. But here's what happens. So he meets Elijah. He says, Elijah bumps into him. While they're going on the search, he bumps into Elijah. Elijah says to him, Chief, go tell your king I'm here. Just tell him I'm here. Because the word of the Lord comes to Elijah to say, go now, the drought, go confront Ahab. The drought's coming to an end. I will send rain after that. Off he goes, he arrives. Says, Chief, I'm here. I love Obadiah's response. He says, okay, what do you want me to do? He says, go make the appointment with the king. He says, you don't play a trick like that on me. I ain't going to tell him you are here, and then he kills me, and then you, by some miracle, you disappear to some other place. That's what he says. Read it for yourself. He says, something's going to happen where you just get taken out. Me, I'm left. I gotta die? I ain't gonna die like that. So he says to the king, okay, he says, okay, cool. Elijah says to him, okay, don't worry, I'll be there. Don't worry, I'll meet the appointment. He goes, tells the king. The king is like, aha, it's enough time. You, the troublemaker, I love the arrogance between the two of them. You, the troublemaker, have come. One on one, man to man. Let's go. But here's what the story represents. It ushers in some cosmic wrestle. Because Elijah says, bring out all your prophets. We're gonna build an altar. And I'm gonna take them all apart. And then he asks them the question, for how long are you gonna keep wavering between two systems? Now, some were worshiping Baal. Let me tell you something about Baal. Baal was the king, was the spiritual god of the day. Here's the problem with the system of Baal. Baal required that people make sacrifices, and people used to sacrifice children. It was no different to Molech, the kings of the day. They would come in and do all of that. The thing with Baal is that he believed people were always enslaved. The thing with Baal is that's why Jezebel is so ticked off when the prophets of Baal are destroyed. But here is the thing about Baal, is that Baal was a system and a spirit. Now, many people ask me the question, why is Baal relevant today? I say to them, because here's the thing, Baal is angry, always angry. How do you serve a God who's always angry? He's always asking for something. Another sacrifice. It's never enough. You are never enough. You want something. You want a sacrifice. You want this. Now, here's the thing. When I think about it today, we vacillate between two opinions. Sometimes some of us operate with a spirit of Baal that we always are believing we are never enough. We are always believing that when we walk out, we are comparing ourselves. We always believe that here's a God that we've got to keep bringing yet another sacrifice, yet another sacrifice. And here's the thing, Social media is set up to create outrage and comparison, so that when you are on social media, you feel you are never good enough. You are always comparing yourself to something or someone. I want to challenge you today. Stop vacillating between two opinions. Recognize you serve a God who says you are more than enough. You serve a God that says greater is He that is in you than he that's in the world. You serve a God who says you can do things. That's the God you serve. What system do you choose to operate on? If you go to work and live paycheck to paycheck, you may be a monthly slave, but I would argue, break out of that system and say, I live in an all-providing system, a system that is authored in heaven. I don't depend on the economy of today. I am dependent on the economy of heaven. I am not looking for natural answers that are manipulated by the offering I put in, that are manipulated by the bulls I bring. I am operating in a system higher than the one that is operating. Come on. Wait, let me bring it to a close. So he says to them, cool, bring your boys. I love this guy's arrogance. I know people are like arrogant is a sin, but yay, I've never genuinely seen people who are proud. I've never seen them. I think people are insecure and so they manifest things. But there's something about a confidence that makes David walk down in the valley of Eli and say, who's this punk who's terrorizing our people? You can come with me all sorts of words. I come with you in the name of the Lord. There's an arrogance that arrives that says, you know what? Bring an altar, build it, actually flood it. Bring your people, flood the thing. And whoever's God sets it on fire, that's the God we worship. Okay? And then he lets the prophets begin to pray all day. I love it. They start to cut themselves. They start to perform. They start to do all sorts of things. He tunes them. Chill, guys. Chill. He comes back to them later. He says, hey, I worry your God is in the toilet. I worry. That's what I'm worried about, guys. Your God is on the toilet. Hey, you got problems, champs. You got problems. Hey, they say, no, we're coming. They show up. They are now going over the top. He eventually comes back. He says, okay, cool. When you're ready to give up, let me handle this business. I'm going to pray. And if my God is God, He will bring fire on this altar. If my God is God, He will bring fire on this altar. Let me ask you a question. You are good Joburgers. You are not like Cape Townians. You know what a good braai looks like. I've hosted many braais in Joburg. And the people of Joburg, when you say there's a bring and braai, they bring meat for themselves and 10 other people. But I have never hosted a braai where somebody showed up with charcoal, also fire lighters, and their own braai. They expect you as the host to do that. I wonder on the day whether God was trying to reset something that says when you are used to a God who wants you to bring the sacrifice and the fire, what kind of God is it who brings his own fire to the sacrifice and sets the altar on fire? Why? Why is that significant? It is significant because he's saying to them, you are used to this transactional relationship with God. You do, I'll do. You want a child? Sacrifice a child. You want this? Sacrifice crops. But I am a God who is the provider, who brings my fire upon you. That's why in Acts, when the Spirit of God has fully come upon them, it was like tongues of fire, because we serve a God who is not natural but supernatural, defines the odds. Come on, friend. So what nation do you want to see? I want to close it with this. of you have got exes who are like the prophets of Baal. They keep sending you WhatsApp. Say, see, your life's no better without me. Isn't that comparison? Some of you are coming into a nation where you're looking at GDP numbers, all sorts of things. I read that stuff. I chair the budget committee. I know what goes on. So I can choose to operate in that system, be comfortable in it. What Mark was saying, I can come to Sunday, operate in this system, wake up on Monday and go, well, actually, let me go see Sangoma. Let me go operate just like I always operate. Let me go to work like I always operate. Let me lead my family in the way Oprah suggests I lead my family. Let me do all of those things. But I'm telling you, you want to lead a different legacy. You have to unhinge yourself from Baal, enter into a system where you say, I'm going to operate with a God who brings his fire, defies logic, defies nature, and supernaturally does something. So here's the thing. I got to read multiple clocks now. 1, lead and be intentional. 2, leave a legacy that unhinges you from the one system to another. Never walk into a meeting at work without seeking God's presence. Never. I'm telling you now, walk into any room. Say, God, I need your presence. I needed your presence. And then say to yourself, I'm not going to linger between two opinions. If there's an opinion that doesn't, you know, some of you are still serving an angry God. You genuinely think God is angry with you. Chill, bro. God's not angry with you. Say, but I'm a sinner. You don't understand the amount of sin I've put through. You don't understand. Boss, you don't. Me, I am the PhD in sineology. But let me warn you. If God wanted to remain angry with you, then he has a problem because he can't betray himself. He sent his son to the cross and said, here is the ultimate sacrifice, so that you can just offer yourself as a living, not as a dying, as a living sacrifice in your own home, in your own space. God is not angry with you. He wants you. He loves you. He's inviting you back home. Come back home, friend. So we're going to do this in the most simplest way out. If you are here in this place and genuinely you say to yourself, I have been serving this God who I think to myself is you know, there are certain religions that are still waiting for you to make sacrifices, all of that. He's already done the sacrifice. He's brought his Holy Spirit fire today. He just wants you to come forward. I'm not going to make this complicated. I'm going to make it easy for you. And all I'm going to ask you to do, if that's you in this space, you say, I don't know God. I don't know that God. The God I know is Baal. He's religious. He wants things from me. I want to know this living God. I want to know the God of Jesus Christ. I'm going to invite you right now. Won't you just stand up wherever you're at? If that's you, come on. I'm going to give you a countdown. I'm going to count up to 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Stand up wherever you're at. If that's you, stand up. And I want you to do something. I want you to do something. I want you to walk your way to the front. Come on, make your way to the front. Make your way to the front. Quick. Let's do it right now. If that's you. And genuinely, I want to encourage you, come, just as you are. There is a God who is waiting for you. There is a God who loves you. There is a God who's not interested in just where you've gone wrong. He wants you to know where your sins are. He's seen you. That is awesome. Come on. Oh, bring it, friend. Bring it. If there are more people, that's awesome. I want to give you guys a high five. Come on. I promise you, and I'm going to do anything else. Mark is going to lead you guys, but I want to speak to families. I want to speak to workers. I want to speak to people who are interested in this nation. I would love it. We're going to leave this altar open. And I want to invite you today to say this one thing. There are things I've allowed to just linger in my life. Today, I'm going to set them on fire. I'm going to allow the fire of God to burn comparison, to burn dependency on this system. You know what I'm praying for? I don't just pray for little money. The legacy I want to leave my kids is not, I don't want Natalie, when I'm dead, to go have to find a guy who's going to give her money. Seriously, she must find a good-looking guy, but not one who's going to give her money. Seriously, I'm not joking. I want so much money, man, that, because here's the problem. If you think about money as a thing that controls you, then you have a limitation in your head. But if you think about money as saying, God, I'm gonna have so much money that generation after generation, I don't want Kalaletso's kids to be broke. So how much money? I want to break it. I was raised in a home. We struggled, so I'm coming from that place. I was raised in a home where the legacy has been poverty. At some point, we've got to draw the line and say, no. We need money that changes a nation. We need money that changes a city. We need money that changes a family and generations to come. This is not about loving money. This is about saying, if God is for us, let it rain. Because when Elijah leaves, after all has been set on fire, you read the rest of 1 Kings 18, it rains. He sends his servant to say, go check it out. He sees a cloud, he comes back, and you know the story. I don't have to bore you with it. All I'm saying is this, is that after all of the setting of all of the Baal, it rains. If you are here like me, you say you want to lay down all the voices of Baal, all the message. God, come to the front, kneel in front, and say, God, set it on fire.
Come on.
If you've prayed that prayer for the first time or for the first time in a long time, then we want to connect and celebrate with you, as well as give you some resources to help you develop your relationship with Jesus. If you would like to join us in person, then you can find us at our North Campus in Randburg or our West Campus in Rudaport at 8:15, 10, and 11:45 every Sunday. For anything else, you can check out Connect Central and follow us on our social media. And thank you once again for spending time with us today. We'll see you soon. Bye.